The Long Island serial killer case, Gilgo Beach serial killings. The two evidences, that is the cell phone and leftover pizza's crust base thrown by the murderer into trash can, solved the case. The Gilgo Beach serial killings were a series of killings between 1996 and 2011 in which the remains of 11 people were found in Gilgo Beach, located on the south shore of Long Island, New York, United States. Most of the known victims were sex workers who advertised on Craigslist. The victims' remains were found over a period of months in 2010 and 2011, after the disappearance of Shannan Gilbert resulted in a police search of the area along the Ocean Parkway, near the remote beach towns of Gilgo and Oak Beach in Suffolk County. The remains of 4 victims designated the Gilgo Four were found within a quarter of a mile of each other near Gilgo Beach in December 2010. 6 more sets of remains were found in March and April 2011 in Suffolk and Nassau counties. Police believe the latter sets of remains predate the 4 bodies found in December 2010.
Sex workers known as the Gilgo Four were found wrapped in burlap on this Long Island in 2010. 7 more victims were found the following year. Police in hazmat gear swarmed through his modest red house in Massapequa Park, Long Island today, where he grew up. He lives there with his wife and 2 adult children. The house is about 15 miles from where the bodies of the Gilgo Four, all said to be sex workers, were discovered.
The focus
was triggered in 2010.
On May 1st, Shannan Gilbert disappeared after making a help phone call to 911 when police could not come to help her due to failure in tracing Shannan's location, and this brought the Long Island serial killer case into police and media's eyes for first time, seriously.
State police.
Yeah, there's somebody after me.
Where are you, ma'am?
I don't know. Can you trace where I am?
No, I can't.
No. No, stop. No.
Oh, come on, let's go. Roll glasses.
No, please. Why? You gonna kill me?
You freaking me out. Come on.
I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Let's go back to Manhattan.
A month Shannan's disappearance, the Suffolk County Police Department's Missing Persons Bureau asked Officer John Malia to search for Gilbert with his trained cadaver dog, a German Shepherd named Blue. Over the course of summer 2010, Malia unsuccessfully searched the gated beach community where Gilbert had last been seen. The officer made a new attempt at a search on December 11, 2010, staying close to the shoulder of the parkway. Malia based his choice of search area on FBI data indicating that dumped bodies are frequently found close to roadways. Despite thick vegetation and a light layer of snow, Malia's cadaver dog alerted to a scent which the pair tracked to a skeleton in a disintegrating burlap bag. The remains were later identified as Melissa Barthelomy's. Police discovered 3 additional bodies while searching the scene for further evidence. The bodies of the 4 victims, Maureen Brainerd, Melissa Barthelomy, Megan Waterman and Amber Costello, were found approximately 500 feet, 150 meters, from each other. In March 2011, partial remains of Jessica Taylor were found along Ocean Parkway. 8 years earlier, in 2003, other parts of Taylor's remains had been found in Manorville, a town in Suffolk County. The next month, in April 2011, police discovered 3 additional sets of remains, an unidentified female toddler, an unidentified Asian person, and Valerie Mack, partial remains of whom, like those of Jessica Taylor, had been found in Manorville years earlier in November 2000. 2 more bodies were found in Nassau County, Karen Vergata, whose partial remains had previously been found on Fire Island in 1996, and an unidentified woman with a distinctive tattoo of peaches who was later found to be the mother of the unidentified toddler found in Suffolk County. On May 9, 2011, police speculated that because of similarities in the cases, Valerie Mack, who at the time was unidentified, and Jessica Taylor may have been murdered by a second, separate killer. On November 29, 2011, police announced that they believed one person to be responsible for all 10 murders and that the perpetrator is almost certainly from Long Island. The single killer theory stems from common characteristics between the condition of the remains and forensic evidence related to the bodies. Suffolk County Police announced a $25,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in the Long Island murders. Shannon Gilbert's remains were located in Oak Beach in December 2011, 19 months after her disappearance. The cause of her death is contested. On January 16, 2020, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Geraldine Hart released images of a belt found at the crime scene with the letters HM or WH, depending on the orientation of the belt, embossed in black leather. The belt had been found during the initial investigation near Ocean Parkway in Gilgo Beach. Police believe that the belt was handled by the perpetrator and that it had not belonged to any of the victims. The police revealed few details about the belt's evidentiary value and would not comment on exactly where it had been found. It was also announced that new scientific evidence was being used in the investigation and that they had launched gilgonews.com, a website enabling the department to share news and receive tips regarding the investigation. In July 2023, Rex Andrew Heuermann, born February 12, 1964, a 59-year-old Nassau County resident, was arrested in Midtown Manhattan and subsequently charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, as well as 3 counts of the lesser charge of second-degree murder, related to the deaths of Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. He is also the prime suspect in the death of Maureen Brainerd Barnes. Heuermann pleaded not guilty. Heuermann is an architect and has lived much of his life in Massapequa Park on Long Island. In an interview on YouTube, Heuermann stated he has worked in Manhattan since 1987. Authorities began to seriously consider Heuermann as a suspect in March 2022 after discovering that a Chevrolet Avalanche registered in his name had been linked to one of the killings by a witness. According to investigators, his cell phone records indicate he had been in contact with 3 of the 4 victims and an email account linked to Heuermann had conducted online searches of the investigation's progress. Court records also indicated that he had searched the internet for sadistic materials, child pornography, and images of the victims and their relatives. Mitochondrial DNA testing indicated Heuermann as a potential match when hair found on the burlap wrappings of one of the bodies was compared to a sample gleaned from a pizza crust in a box he had discarded. A potential match to Heuermann's wife was also found when comparing hair found on or near 3 of the victims to samples taken from bottles found in the trash outside the Heuermann residence. Investigators stated that his wife and children were out of state at the time during which the killings were believed to have occurred.
Police say he's the man behind the more than decade-long Gilgo Beach serial killer mystery. Rex Heuermann stayed silent as he walked out of Suffolk County 7th Precinct to face a judge on Friday afternoon.
Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families.
Let's know little details about the famous Gilgo 4 victims' personal lives. Victim 1, Maureen Brainerd Barnes of Norwich, Connecticut, was 25 when she disappeared. She was last seen on July 9, 2007, saying that she planned to spend the day in New York City. She was never seen again. Brainerd Barnes, a mother of 2, worked as a sex worker via Craigslist to pay the mortgage on her house. She had been out of the sex industry for 7 months, but she returned to the work in order to pay her bills after receiving an eviction notice. Her body was found in December 2010. Shortly after her disappearance, a friend of Brainerd Barnes's, Sarah Carnes, received a phone call from a man on an unfamiliar number. The man claimed that he had just seen Brainerd Barnes and that she was alive and staying at a whorehouse in Queens. He refused to identify himself and could not tell Carnes the location of the house. He told Carnes he would call back and give her the address, but never called again. Carnes said that the man had no discernible New York or Boston accent. Victim 2, Melissa Barthelemy, age 24, of Erie County, New York, went missing on July 12, 2009. She had been living in the Bronx in New York and working as a sex worker through Craigslist. On the night she went missing, she met with a client, deposited $900 in her bank account, and attempted to call an old boyfriend, but did not get through. Victim 3, Waterman, age 22, of South Portland, Maine, went missing on June 6, 2010, after placing advertisements on Craigslist as an escort. The previous day she had told her 20-year-old boyfriend that she was going out and would call him later. At the time of her disappearance, she was staying at a motel in Hauppauge, New York, 15 miles northeast of Gilgo Beach. Her body was recovered in December 2010. Waterman was a mother of one and had become a victim of sex trafficking. Victim 4, Amber Lynn Costello, age 27, of West Babylon, New York, a small town 10 miles north of Gilgo Beach, was a sex worker and heroin user who went missing on September 2, 2010. That night she reportedly went to meet a stranger who had called her several times and offered $1,500 for her services. Born in Charlotte and raised in Wilmington, North Carolina, Costello was living in West Babylon, New York when she disappeared. Her family believed that she was in a residential drug rehabilitation center, so she was not immediately reported missing when she stopped responding to messages and phone calls. Prior to moving to West Babylon, Costello had been living with her second husband in Clearwater, Florida, and was working as a waitress. A strong student, Costello's drug addiction began when she was a teenager because she had been sexually assaulted by a neighbor when she was 6 years old. That was all about the Gilgo Beach case. Be cautious, be safe. Like, comment and subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching us.